Well, now for our fun factor, the exciting, the getting your truck ready for showing off this summer. Here to talk the exciting lift kit options available over at Custom Truck Accessories in Reno is Scott Dixon, their general manager. Scott, thanks for being here today.
How's it going, Mitch?
Fantastic. I always love having you on the show because it is the fun factor. Everything you put out of your shop is exciting. It just rocks people's worlds. And, Custom Truck Accessories really says in your name what you do. Everything's custom. And, a lot of people want to make their vehicles look better. Some people will want to make their vehicles more off-road capable. So let's talk about suspension lifts and things that people should know about them.
Okay, Mitch. A lot of people are lifting their trucks. Coming new from the dealership is always the best way to go if you're going to do it because all the components are still tight and intact. There's a lot of different levels as far as suspension lift components go. There's on the inexpensive end of the spectrum. Doesn't necessarily mean it's not a good kit, but it's definitely not something that's going to be designed around performance. Everything is designed to work with the components so that it'll perform as best as it can. But a lot of times, people are looking for more of a look versus performance, and that kind of affects the price and what they want to do.
Well, and I've seen some extraordinary lifts. I mean, that you could almost walk under and not even touch your head to the components underneath the vehicle. And then some of those come out of your shop because you can do just about anything that a consumer wants to do to their truck.
Yeah. Fortunately, we have the installer at our shop that does these things has been doing them for almost 25 years and real knowledgeable guy. And he'll tell me whether or not what we're putting in is going to work for these guys.
Well, and that was the key right there. I think one of the biggest problems with lift kits is people go out and they just pay to have them done, and they're just not proper for that vehicle. They're not safe when they're done with them. And lift kits are very important to have done by people that know what they're doing with them, because you're going to affect the whole handling and ride of that vehicle when you're done with it. I've seen everything from the types of I call them remote provisions of where you can adjust them from inside the vehicle.
Right. You have from your real basic systems to remote reservoir shock absorbers, which give you a lot more travel. Ideally, those are designed for vehicles that are meant to go off-road and for performance. You do see guys running around in town with stuff like that, but those are really designed around being off-road.
Well, what would be the first thing you'd need to know when deciding a lift kit to put on somebody's vehicle?
The biggest misconception people have is they'll go online and start looking at lift kits, and a lot of times it'll tell you can run this size tire with this kit. Not necessarily true. Different vehicles, whether it be GM or Dodge or Ford, the fender wells are different. The offset of the wheel is very important on what size wheel and tire you can run. And just because it says it'll work doesn't mean it will. A lot of times we've had people come in and put those on, and they find out you have to trim the bumpers or the air dams to be able to make accommodation for that size wheel.
Well, yeah, and like you just said, wheel opening, shrouds, and all these other modifications that might need to be done to actually make those work are necessary. And one of the things that you just mentioned is, again, the internet. And we're not opposed to it, don't get me wrong, but we really have tried to advocate on this show from its inception that there's a quality that you want first. You want the highest quality products and services. And then your goal would be to get a fair price on those.
Right.
And you just told me a story about a customer that had bought their own wheels and tires and for which online said it would work. And what happened?
Well, the wheel didn't have the proper offset or backspacing. And because it didn't have it, the configuration isn't going to work with the vehicle, even with it lifted, because there's not enough turn radius to keep it from getting into the bumpers or the air dams.
And by the time he had brought these to you, he had already mounted the tires on the wheels?
Right. Once the rubber's on the wheel, it's yours. They will not take them back.
So he wound up being literally stuck with a very expensive a set of wheels and tires.
Right, yeah. Stuck trying to find somebody else to take them off his hands that might be able to use them on a different application.
And had he come to you to begin with and bought the right ones, you would have known. And if they didn't fit, you would have put on something that did fit.
Right, we will
No harm,
test
no
fit 'em.
foul.
And you know, we do keep about 200 tires in stock and about 40 different wheels. So
Well, let's talk about that because I think it's really impressive. Some of these tires are serious size tires, and a lot of people might not know that you carry these, but you were telling me the largest tire you have in stock for an off-road for a lifted vehicle is how big?
the ones we keep in stock up, the biggest tire we keep is a 37-inch tire.
Those are almost Caterpillar truck size tires there. Let's talk a little bit about the different suspension options that you have. Different manufacturers you install.
You know, we run lift kits, suspension lift kits from Rough Country, ProComp, FabTech, and everybody in between. There's Skyjack or there's Superlift. Really, there's a different flavor for every taste out there. It really depends on what the customer wants and what they want to accomplish.
And it's not just that; it's all of the other components that go with it, the struts and the braces.
Right.
And what's the most problematic thing that you see from poor installation of lift kits?
Well, proper installation is important. It's key, of course, making sure the torque specs are put in right. And what a lot of times people see is their bottom line is price. But unfortunately, when you're dealing with something like suspension, price isn't necessarily a key point. You want to make sure you're getting everything that's going to go in there to make it ride properly. And, you know, everybody needs to be aware that if you take your vehicle and change the configuration and geometry of the suspension, it's not going to ride the same that it did from the factory. The idea behind it is you want to try to make it ride as close to it as you can, but you're not going to accomplish that by going the most inexpensive way. You're going to need to put some money into it to get it right.
Well, and then have people that can guide you through, excuse me, that process of the right choices. And you know, for the individual that you know wants to get started, you can actually help them accomplish this piece at a time. As a matter of fact.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can start off with you know an inexpensive kit. There's options that can be added later, of course, down the road, and you can upgrade your components as you go.
And once they've lifted this truck, there's a whole bunch of other things you can do to it to dress it up and make it SEMA quality. And I will add that you do trucks for the SEMA show.
We've done a couple of them that wind up on the floor at SEMA, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking SEMA quality lifted truck capabilities here. And if you're looking for that, I want it, and I want something that's just rock your world. This is the place to get it done in Northern Nevada. And I will say, in our country, without a doubt, I would put you in the top 5 off-road accessory shops in the nation. And we're blessed to have you in Northern Nevada. So let's talk about some of the other things that you can do once you've lifted it and put the big wheels and tire packages on it to also dress it up.
Sure. Well, a lot of times you put a wider tire on the vehicle. You notice a lot of vehicles have a fender flare. That flare is going to prevent you getting mud, water up on the side of the vehicle, up on your windows. And also kind of protect the people that are rolling behind you and keep them from getting rocks on their windshields. Mud flaps, of course, entry assistance. Once you lift the truck, people that aren't long-legged are going to have more trouble getting in the vehicle.
Well, and I've seen some of your electric steps.
Yeah, we offer everything from a single hoop step to the power boards with LED lights. And there's, we pretty much have anything within everybody's price range to help them get into their vehicle.
And then grill guards.
Grill guards, brush guards, bumpers. We do a lot of heavy-duty bumpers. Our specialty is Fab Forest bumpers. They're the super nice, super heavy-duty.
I've seen some beautifully marbleized, powder-coated bumpers.
Right, yeah.
You do custom work. You'll actually do something to a specific color key of somebody's vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
On request.
As far as painting the suspension components to match the paint on the vehicle, having the bumpers powder coated to a specific color.
Winch kits, you have a selection of those, not just one.
Right. We carry 4 or 5 different manufacturers of winches, from the lower end spectrum to the highest performance winch Warren even makes winches with built-in air compressors on them.
And then we're going to talk about, for the serious off-roader that's going to be going out at nighttime, you can light it up like a baseball park.
We do anything from regular incandescent halogen lights to, the new wave of lighting, which is LED, which LED is a low-draw, super bright light.
And I love this because you can even modify their interior from cloth to leather.
Right. We do quite a few leather kits. If you buy your vehicle and you don't want to pay the big bucks of having the option of leather from the factory, bring it to us. We'll take the cloth out at a good price and install seat heaters, leather, get it to your taste. We can do different color configurations. We can do exotic materials, suede materials.
And then you have a host of electronics. Let's not forget those.
Right. You can run audio, video, navigation. We do a lot of hands-free for those of you folks that want your vehicles to be hands-free capable. Come and see us.
Well, one of the funnest shops in Northern Nevada, and we love having you on our show and the fun factor that you bring to our community. If you've seen an exotic lifted truck, chances are they did it at Custom Truck Accessories on Kitski and Reno. And how do they get a hold of you, Scott?
You can reach us online at customtruckaccessories.com. Our physical address is 385 Kitski Lane in between Mill and 2nd Street across from Mark Fornstrike Sporting Goods. And the phone number for Reno is 775-329-5111. Carson City is 3244 South Carson Street at 775-885-8111.
That's Scott Dixon, Custom Truck Accessories. Please let them know that you heard about them on the Car Buyer Advisor.